A good Mound Visit here for everybody. All right, what do we got? Mound Visit, episode number 57.
Let's start this thing. Wait a minute. I had to move this piece.
What do we got?
This is a valued piece. Bro. Come on. Come on. Come on. Do we have this? Does this still exist? Like in the game? Do we still get this out of baseball? Everybody? This is my freaking hero. I played for the Rangers, and who better to have a picture of this? I got to go get it framed. I'm a little bit pissed. I took it out because the autograph, I could tell, was getting a little faded, so I had to, take it out of the sun a little bit. But it was in a glass. I thought it was the tempered glass would have saved it a little bit. But anyways, what better way to start off with a guy like Nolan Ryan? Because we're gonna bring up. We used to talk about Ohtani. Now the subject matter with him coming to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He's going to have to face Paul Skenes. It's going to be a fun matchup to see, right?
Damn right. Yeah. Paul Skenes is...
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that Paul Skenes at this point, even though he's only made 3 starts in the bigs, or 4 starts, he's must-watch television? I mean, you could say that coming into the year, but I think right now it's fair to say he's must-watch television, right?
I don't know who has the key to this city, but I think he does. Black and gold, give it to him right here, right now. There you go.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, dude. Go for it. Run with it, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Kid's earned it. God blessed him with a thunderbolt for an arm.
Yeah.
And let's ride the skiing train.
So can I ask you your thoughts on this? Because this is...
Am I going to grow a mustache like that?
It's not.
Maybe.
Well, you already got the stash. You just got to shave everything.
Yeah, but it's not his. That's his style. And
Right.
I'm starting to see a few guys around town with the
rocking
stash,
the stash.
I had to do a double take. I'm like, wow, this is trending. We're starting to trend the mustache.
How about that, man?
We'll bring, like
That's
real
electric.
mustaches, real ones, not fugazi. Freaking real.
They had that little kid
deal.
on the broadcast. I'm sure you saw that little kid on the broadcast who had the mustache on, and he said, "I love Paul Skenes' mustache," and he said, "I like Livy Dunn, his girlfriend." So Paul Skenes is trending for more reasons than one.
This is all I could do right here. This is all I got for you. If this made me throw 100, dude, I would rock this, bro.
I'll take 103. I'll do a little finger stash as well. So this is an interesting thought that has been kind of thrown around, and I'd be curious as to what you think about this, especially as a former All-Star yourself, because I think for all of the flaws that the All-Star game has, or that people like to say, for all the flaws that the game has, it means a lot to the players that are selected to the All-Star game. You know that more than anybody else.
Yeah.
So, do you think that if Paul Skenes, if he keeps producing like he's producing right now, keeps putting up the numbers he does through, 7-8 starts leading up to the All-Star break, even though he wasn't on the roster to start the year, whatever, you think he's the Pittsburgh Pirates All-Star representative or one of them?
How could you... I'd like to see the argument to say, not this year.
Yeah.
I mean... You want to see the best, right? If he's dominant, that's kind of what you say. If he's dominant in the first half, it's not his fault that they didn't call him up.
Right.
If he's dominant and he has just as many, if not more, wins or better numbers than some other people, it's hard to argue that. But here's the thing. Also, we know the politics of, if he's going to get called there, are we going to be able to use him for an inning?
Right.
We don't want. We already got the white gloves on the kid.
Right.
Can we take him off and let this kid? Listen,
That's a good point.
If you're in the big leagues, though, why are we being careful? If you're not ready to be in the big leagues, then we keep you down there. This kid's ready.
Yeah.
He was ready since the day they drafted him.
Right.
And he proved that. they seasoned him. We got a little seasoning.
Right.
We got a little seasoning on him, and you know what? He's going to be better. It's scary to say.
Yeah, right.
I mean, look how much better Garrett Cole got, or anybody for that matter. Tyler Glasnow, right? Another Pirates draft pick. Look at his seasoning now. They're developed. They're grown up. Baby Saul's grown up, and we got a kid that's wet behind the ears, dominating.
Yeah.
And to me, come on, man. It's scary to think what his upside is going to be.
Yeah.
It's big. It's big.
Yeah.
We're going to see no-hitter. We're going to see potential no-hitters, right? He already gave us a little preview of his 6 dominant innings against the Cubbies. Mm-hmm. And that's second start of his career. I mean, come on, man.
I know.
What are we talking about? It's going to be a pitch count thing, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, can you just strike out 9 or 10, maybe 7, and throw a no-hitter? I don't know what it's going to take to not. But come on, I mean, we might see a challenge of the record 20 strikeouts. We might see that.
He's got the stuff to do it. Yeah,
he's got 3 nasty pitches. 3.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing with him, too, what makes him so good is the command that he has of those 3 pitches, and
right.
how the command he's already shown at the big league level. And I think there's no better time to bring in our segment that you all know and love, the stupid statistic of the week. And it's already been, let's get stupid, baby. It's already been centered around Paul Skenes before when he first got called up, but it's going to be centered around him again because he made history with his last start. And I sent this to you before the show, but 4th pitcher in Major League Baseball history to post an ERA of 2.45 or better with 30-plus strikeouts and 5 or fewer walks over his first 4 MLB starts. The only other 3 to do it, Masahiro Tanaka in 2014, Steven Strasburg in 2010. We all know how electric it was when he first came up, and King Felix in 2005. So, I mean, you could argue a Hall of Famer in King Felix, one of the better Japanese pitchers to come over in Masahiro Tanaka, and then Steven Strasburg. I mean, obviously his career was cut too short due to injuries, but one of the more electrifying pitching prospects we've ever seen. So really, really good company, and it's not surprising. I'm sure he's going to continue to rewrite those record books as the year goes on. Listen,
man, I don't know. I even seen him do his whatever was on Instagram of his routine. He's carrying that thingamajigger up on his shoulders and doing the. Yeah. I mean, I'm doing whatever Paul Skenes is doing. If I'm his teammate, I'm doing it. What do you eat for breakfast? I want it. Right. What do you do? What do you do at 8 a.m.? I want to know.
I want in.
I want in. It's like it's almost like the Matt Foley. We're gonna be buddies. We're gonna be pals. I'm moving in.
Be living in a van down by the river. You got a good. That's not a bad Matt Foley impression. That's pretty good.
Ryan Dempster did the best
Oh
one.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I can't take that. And there's no better Matt Foley than Matt Foley.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. Of course.
So,
well, to stay on the Paul Skenes train.
Chris Farley was the man.
Oh my God, I know. But speaking of, well, before we go off the beaten path like we do on Mound Visit, and why else would you come to Mound Visit?
That's why it calls Mound Visit, bro.
Exactly.
It's all about segues, sidebars, and bases are loaded all the time, bro.
That's right. Well, I want to ask you this, as someone who lives in the city of Pittsburgh, or is a Yinzer now yourself. I think obviously you got Sidney Crosby, who's been like the GOAT in the city with the Penguins. I think for a while, obviously, it was Big Ben.
Lemieux,
I think probably you could say TJ.
Mario Lemieux.
Right, obviously. I mean, more so like recent players. I think Crosby's still there a little bit. He's getting towards the end of their career. Probably TJ Watt right now on the Steelers because football's obviously huge. How long do you think, realistically, until Paul Skenes becomes like the guy in the city of Pittsburgh? If that does that for you, does it hinge on the Pirates being a successful in terms of, making the playoffs, stuff like that? Or do you think it's just a matter of him finishing out a few full seasons at the rate he's going now?
I mean, if he continues the trend of what he's already doing, is there a better show in town?
Right.
Once every 5 days, so I don't want to miss the show. I mean, whether I'm turning in or, I'm looking even at the box score when he's pitching. I didn't get to see him the other day pitch. I caught the highlights, but I was like, wow, man, this dude is, I've already said he's for real.
Yeah.
But to see, and again, I think the most, to have all that hype, okay, because I think even for me, when you get a little bit of that buzz and you're riding that wave of I'm dominating, I'm good, I've arrived. He even was laughing his second start, like, I'm in the big leagues. He's probably sitting there going, like, I'm really good. Like, that confidence of, like, yeah, I believed I was a big league, but now I'm here. It's almost like this surreal moment.
Sure.
I think even for him, and anybody for that matter, you're like, wow, I'm not just good, I'm dominating in the big leagues. Like, is there another level of being elite? And he's elite already because you just mentioned in the company of that start.
Yeah.
And we're just taking a small bite-sized piece of what this kid's career could look like. Listen, I wish him the best of the best because I've heard nothing but positive things about him as a human being.
Yeah.
And that's really, it's like, yeah, the player is the player, but I always say I'm a fan of the player. I'm a bigger fan of people, and if he does both very well, I mean, then like I said, I'm buying a Paul Skenes jersey. Like I said, that's as close as I'll ever get to feeling like what it is to be like. You know what I'm saying? And I'm fanboying hard here, but I'm saying in the sense that this guy could do a lot in the community. He can make a big difference on the field, in the community, and Pittsburgh's about that. They're all about that, man. Yeah. So if he climbs aboard and rides this wave that he's going to be on, I believe he's going to be on. There'll probably be sandwiches named after him and stuff like that. I mean, no big deal, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, that's you're absolutely right. That's what should come with.
He's the talk of the town.
Yeah.
Man. He's the talk of the town, and why shouldn't he be?
But how cool is that to see for the Pirates? You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's been so long. I like legitimately since they were in the wild card game. I think it was in 15 or 2015. But it really since that 13 season that you were a part of, it's been a long time since it seems like baseball was the central focus of sports fans in Pittsburgh. Am I? You think I'm correct in saying that?
No, you're right. And you know what? We talk only about Skenes. Cabron Hayes is back.
Jared Jones is lighting it up.
Jared Jones is just as got a lightning arm, just like Skenes, another LSU guy.
Yeah.
There are parts and there are pieces of this team. There's freak shows, right? Like, who's that shortstop? A 6'7", I don't know how much pounds is he?
Yeah.
Right?
O'Neal? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
O'Neal Cruz? Come on, guy. So I think he could, if everything gels and everything clicks, and they start going, yo, we're going to do this together, and they enjoy. The key to a team is, and I always say this, when you pour champagne, and the more you pour champagne, you're like, we got a good group of dudes. That's what I said. It's more about the people than just the player. If you can combine the player with the good people and you like to generally hang out and jam together and go dominate and rely on each other because there's some stuff and shit that happens off the field that you might happen to be a conversation or a moment where you're like, it's some personal stuff going on and your teammate's there for you.
Yeah.
The on the field stuff, man, it's amazing what happens and you're like, yo, he's got me. He's got me in every sense of like, I got your back.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of behind my back, my dog is snoring some Big Z. So
I thought I heard a little something. Yeah.
If that's coming through the airwaves again, Glover he's dominating some sleep right now. I don't know.
Good for him, man.
Too many potatoes, maybe.
Well, this is actually a fantastic segue into what I wanted to talk about next with you. And for those who watch the show, I mean, obviously where both of our allegiances lie in terms of the our favorite squads. Obviously, we're both fans of the game, but I want to get your take on some of the stuff that's been happening with the New York Mets. And I had kind of a rant that I wanted to say, but there's just a lot that I think that as fans and even as media members and whatever it might be, anyone who's not in the clubhouse, there's so much stuff that we are just not going to know. And I think that, for me, going into this season as a Mets fan, and I'm sure a lot of fans would agree, I didn't necessarily expect this team to be like a legitimate contender just because there were some overhaul with the rosters. They let some guys go last year after, not meeting expectations. So the fact that they aren't winning a lot of games, I think for myself doesn't really, doesn't bother me. It was the way that they were losing these games that really seemed to bug me. And it goes back to something we talked about. It might have been last episode or a couple episodes ago with Cameron Maben. But we talked about how, as fans, you can sometimes see a team on the field that doesn't seem to show a lot of urgency. There doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency. There doesn't seem to be some accountability with the players. You know what I mean?
The only thing I can think of is, and you're bringing up Maben on our past show.
Yeah.
He said that even though we weren't winning, we still played for each other.
Right.
We were still trying to win.
Right.
Instead of being individuals, when you start separating, going like, yo, I'm out of here, I'm playing for me, I'm going to get traded at the All-Star break. I don't know what's going on in that clubhouse, if there's a stigma and an air that's happening. Once that happens, dude, it's hard to win that, get that unification going on again. So I know some other Met fans that are getting rid of some of their Mets gear. They're frustrated as heck. So you listen, 1986 is a little bit closer. We got 1979 here in Pittsburgh.
Right.
It's the last one. You got 1986.
Yeah.
The Cubbies had 100. What was it, 100 years? Or 100 over 100 years?
108.
100. Okay. So everybody just take it back and relax. If you don't like your team, pick another one. Right?
Oh, it's not that easy.
Hey, look at do it. Then go watch the AAA Mets. You got them right there.
There you go. Yeah, that's right.
You got
right.
You got a beautiful ballpark. Mm-hmm. It's still the Mets.
That's right.
Right there in Syracuse, New York. So, dude, go look at what's up and coming, because just like if they lose, I guess you guys, if they really stink this year, get excited. You get probably the number one pick in your way, bro.
Tank for the number one. I know it. But that's what it goes back to what I was saying, where it's just like I really don't care that they're not that good, because I looked at the roster this year and I didn't expect a championship level team necessarily. Obviously, I still want them to perform. I want them to do well. I'm going to watch them every night. But it was like the way that they were losing games, where it was like, I mean, they blew 9 games when they had the lead after the 8th inning already this year. I mean, that like when you lose games like that, it rips like.
Yeah, that's
tough.
That's dude, listen, no one hurts more, right? No one hurts more when you let down your team if you're blown it. No one hurts more when you let down your city.
Sure.
When you're blown it. It hurts bad, dude. And then you got to relive that, and like I said, it's talked about everywhere.
Yep.
And it's funny, baseball always has stories, the drama that surrounds the game besides the actual games themselves. The Mets got the game situation going on, as long as there's no other issues, because that's when it compounds and gets super ugly, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're still only at the end of May. There's only 2 months of baseball.
I know, right?
So, and I've been on a stinky team. I've been on, I say, the 2016 Atlanta Braves, the beginning, if you look at that track record, stupid statistic of the week, the stupidest one I've ever been a part of was 5 wins in April.
Oh.
You know what that's on pace for? You're on pace to win 30 games when you win 5 in the first month. So we were sitting there going like, hey, yeah, we got to make a change here. We got to pick it up here.
Mm-hmm. So how? So that's the next thing, because you know, like you said, as long as there's nothing else going on where it really gets ugly, it seemed like last night, and we're recording this on Thursday. When you hear this, so on Wednesday night is when it really got ugly, because one of their relievers, Jorge Lopez, was ejected from the game. He came off the field, he threw his glove into the stands, made some comments in the postgame that kind of got misconstrued because, you know, English isn't his first language, and that's a whole nother story. But regardless, the comments that were made and things that happened, you know, it all just it piled on.
You mean it wasn't a giveaway? It wasn't glove giveaway night?
It was
I did that before. I did that before.
Did you really?
In the Cape Cod League.
Oh, there.
My first year in the Cape League, I was like, I can't get anybody out. I was coming off the field, and I just flipped my glove up. It went over the net into the stands, and I was like,
some kid probably loved that.
Maybe let me go get some nachos, have a couple adult sodas, because, you know, I got like rocking a 10 ERA as a freshman All-American in the Cape League, where I was like, yeah, I thought I was good. This is a hard game. It's a hard league. I'm playing against guys from Vanderbilt getting drafted, you know?
Yeah.
And likes of Rice and all these guys. I was like, holy crap, bro.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it was something.
Yeah, and that's always part of it. You got to remember that baseball is a hard sport.
It's so hard, dude.
It's really, really hard.
Such a hard game. You know, that's what I said. I go, all this yelling.
Sure.
All this yelling, especially with coaches and talk shows and the frustration that comes out and the emotion. When people sit there and, you know, yell about a bat flip or a pitcher striking somebody out and going crazy, you know, it's okay in sports. There's a lot of trash talk in basketball.
Sure.
You look at the trash talk, Michael Jordan's documentary in the Bulls, and you look at really the intensity. When you look at the trash talk, you look at the trash talk in football, but they got the mics turned down.
Yeah, right.
The mics are actually turned down and filtered, right? Can you imagine having this? Okay, but in baseball, all this trash talk, we're not allowed. You know what? It's so hard. It should be the most trash talk going on, because it's so hard that when something good happens, you should celebrate it a little bit. As long as you're not showing up your opponent to the point where you're disrespecting them, because, dude, it's a hard game.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's the interesting part about all of this for me is I look at this from two perspectives where, and to go back to our talk with Maven, because I think there were a lot of points in there, and if you haven't listened to that, I
get them back on. Let's
highly recommend it.
You want to dial in, Mabes? Get in here, Mabes.
Right?
Get them in.
You know, he said, you know, when you see issues with teams, and especially teams that seem to be underperforming, he accredits a lot of it. He said, I think it's a lot more about the manager than people think. And I'm not blaming Carlos Mendoza, the Mets manager, for the team's lack of success, because for one reason, because there's a lot of proven veterans on this team that don't seem to be holding up their end of the bargain as well. But what I want to ask you...
who's the first to go then?
Well, so that's what I want to ask you is, in a major league clubhouse, when you have veterans on a team, like, for example, like you did with Atlanta, when you've got a bunch of veterans on a squad together, you have a manager, like Maben said, the manager is, you know, the best ones are leaders of men, and they can do that and galvanize a group to have success. But when something like this is going on, where you seem to have, you know, veterans who, for whatever reason, don't seem to be, you know, they're not performing to the back of their baseball card, and it seems to be they look checked out on whatever it may be. How does that whole dichotomy work in a major league clubhouse where you've got the manager, you've got veterans? Who steps up first? Does it depend on the clubhouse? Like, how does that work?
Dude, you know, the product and the expectation is to win. The only thing you're there to do is to win. And when you're not, the stigma, the planes, it's a icky feeling, man.
Yeah, of course, I'm sure.
It sticks hard. It's like, You got the best spread. It's awkward. There's uncomfortable. It's it's not this jovial. You can't play the music loud. You're not supposed to.
Sure.
You're supposed to be in it. So it sticks, man. It's just the stigma that just. It's like, please blow this place up, and can we start over? You hit the reset button like in a video game. You don't like it, you throw the remote or whatever and start over. You can't do that in 162 season. We've already pressed play. It's going. I just hope these guys aren't so lost in it that you got to find something, man, to jive. And it maybe starts with a couple people. I know you hate to say it gets segregated into cliques, but maybe it's got to start with, hey, these guys are doing something together that's fun, and let's bring it in. And it's like that avalanche that starts. It starts with a snowball, right? And you change it because, we all like the comebacks, man. We all like the comeback story. So,
what about team meetings? Do what in your
team meetings
like player only meeting type things? Do those work?
Yeah. I mean, you got to get it out.
Sure.
Because you got to give a shit. You got to maybe let some shit out. But that's just like, wow, we're at this point. We got to figure out how to fix it. It's got to be done the right way.
Yeah,
it's got to be done the right way.
It probably
I've
varies.
Been on both,
but
I've been on both sides.
Yeah.
Of it. It's uncomfortable. You sit there and you go, does my opinion matter? Like, what am I going to add to saying this is going to be the thing? I just look at it like, man, go out and maybe get shit-faced together. I don't know what it takes to turn it around, right? But
sure.
I always say, you're in the big leagues. You got a big league uniform on. It's no big deal, right? No, it's a big effing deal to be a big leaguer and put that uniform on. So try to have some fun doing it. How do they get there? I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's going to take some serious leadership. It's going to take something stupid, silly. That's why I appreciate a guy like Joe Madden and the stories, like the leadership that he had. He always made something like, you can't just go from the hotel, from the plane to the hotel to the field back to the hotel. Like, that is so boring and mundane. And when you're losing, God, does that just still go, this is not fun.
Yeah.
So it's fun because you're like, wow, everything is enhanced. You're like, I feel good. You look good, you feel good, everything's good, right? But when it's shit, dude, everything sucks. Yeah. And it's a mentality that you go, get the team shrinks in here, and whatever juices and pills we got to drink and elixirs that we got to boil, like you said, the Mound Visit. There's your segue for getting your Bull Durham segment. Like, what do we got to do? What's going on out here? What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, right.
Right. There's confusion. There's chaos. You can't have that, because when you are trying to all shoot for that, pouring that champagne, and you're going, this team, I love all these guys.
Yeah.
It's easy to love on everybody when it's good, right? When the getting's good. It's
absolutely.
There's the best. You love you. Frick, I'll call you. Let's go. It's funny when it's like losing. Everybody just kind of goes in their corner. It's icky. It's like you suck. I suck. I don't want to hang out with you because you suck a little more than me, and you're stinking up the place. And I don't want that bad juju getting on me because I might lose my job, right? And you go, I don't want that rubbing off on me, dude. Everybody, it's a weird feeling, man.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
I love that. From behind, that is a real behind the scenes perspective. I think that we don't get a lot. It's very interesting. But to their credit, the Mets did win today. They had a great come from behind.
There you
win.
go. All right.
So maybe that might have been a turning
point. Let's go, man.
We'll see.
A win is a win. A big league win.
The book.
No,
that's right.
Listen. Two bad months. Whatever, dude. Like they gotta go. They got to start looking at, like, okay, we had a bad May. Can we get 500 in June? Can we start there?
Right. There you go.
All right. Can we win a series?
Yeah.
Little strides, dude.
That's
progression.
Right.
Yeah. I'm saying this to root for you, guys.
Absolutely. I'm saying the same stuff. Absolutely. No. It's okay. Let's move on to another move on from the Mets. I know this will be interesting to get your perspective on as well. This was pretty big news. Angel Hernandez, longtime Major League Baseball umpire, much more recently has been in the baseball news for the wrong reasons, and he has announced his retirement. I think a lot of people are
exhaling.
Yeah.
I mean, he's often been criticized for a few controversial calls.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people questioned how he was remain employed for a bad showing. I mean, like I said, if we as players are dependent on our performance,
sure,
right, and we are in the big leagues based on a performance or paid on a contract based on our performance, why is any job, especially on the field, umpires are on the field, any job that requires that much scrutiny and analyzation and criticism, why is there not a level of criticism that should have been held for him or any umpire, or if it goes for the players, it should be for them as well. And these guys are much like, their union's so good that they're that comfortable, they're that untouchable.
Right.
And we're talking about Angel Hernandez here, which he's deemed, he got a big target had his big target on his back for the longest time, and he's been pushed off to the side. So a lot of people are probably not too unhappy about that.
Well, it was very interesting because you never want to just, like, he's someone who, at a certain point, he was a good umpire or else he wouldn't be there. But for whatever reason,
right,
it was consistently,
Yeah, but that's what I say. As a player, if you are good one year and then the next year you're not, okay, then why are you just grandfathered in?
I 100% agree, and I think that's part of the issue with that I see with umpires in Major League Baseball a lot. And I think you could say this about other sports as well, where I think there's a lack of accountability. And I think you said players, which I think is a great analogy, where it's like, if a player stinks, you're not going to have a job for a lot longer.
No.
Think about any other profession. Think about any other full-time profession. If you're not doing your job right or well, you're going to get, you'll get a warning or two. You're not going to have that job for much longer.
Listen, if a 95-year-old grandmother who can't really see over the steering wheel is putting people in endangerment on the road, do we just let her keep driving? Right. She's a detriment to herself and everybody around her, right? We're dependent upon grandma maybe driving on the right side of the road. She might need to get a driver's test, maybe her eyes checked. Just make sure she's able to drive. No different than, hey, why are we not? That's why we're talking about robots coming into play, because there's money involved. There's people's outcome. I know as a pitcher, you know it too. Would you rather pitch in a 2-1 count or a 1-2 count?
To make no-brainer. Yeah, exactly.
No-brainer, right? So,
I know. So did you ever have any run-ins with Angel?
Yes, I was just on a show last night. So the World Baseball Classic, pitching against Team Mexico in Arizona.
Okay.
It was a heated moment. I come in, bases were loaded. I made a pitch that I thought was right there.
Okay.
I made it a couple times. And I was just, I'm animated. I'm pretty emotional on the mound. But I was like, ooh, man, I showed some emotion. He kind of like said something to me, and I was like, whoa, he barked at me a little bit. We wound up winning the game.
Okay.
Doing the right thing, whether it was him or anybody else behind the plate, didn't matter. I was debating it because I know the reputation he had. I said, I just don't want to get screwed later on. This is spring training in World Baseball Classic.
Sure, right.
These games were playoff caliber games, as everybody knows, right?
A lot of emotion.
And it meant a lot for Team Italy. We were underdogs, so every play, every pitch mattered to everyone playing for their country.
Mm-hmm.
And they questioned a questionable call, and I was like, oh my God. I was like really into it, animated about it. He said something to me. I let it go. The next day, we were, right before the game, I walked up to him and said, hey, Angel, just wanted to come up, man. I said, that was a key moment, brother, and I just wanted to apologize if I came off wrong. I said, this is just how I am. It wasn't about anything personal. I said something to that effect. I don't remember what it was. He again scolded me like as if it was during the game. I was like, I looked at some of my teammates behind me. I was like, well, I guess that will never happen again. I tried. And so as this story goes, and many other stories, which I'm sure I would love to hear catchers talk about their conversations and questionable debates during 125 pitch game or whatever.
Gotta get Johnny Buck back on the show, man.
Yeah, John Buck would probably have a couple stories with him looking over his shoulder. But listen, these are the things that make what we watched. I say baseball is the best reality TV show. Look at just 3 topics we've talked about, we've covered.
Yeah.
And many instances in between slicing up. There's so much happening, man. If you're in the bullpen, you're on an island out by yourself trying to watch a game and make pitches and analyze things from 500 feet away. And the further you get away from it, you're like, wait, what the F is going on?
That's right.
You're wondering what Paul Skenes is doing right now, right? Everybody's wondering, what is he doing right now? What is Angel Hernandez, going to yuck it up on the golf course? Is he going to get hit in the head with a shovel?
Is he going to start
some
a
guy
podcast?
Lost money? Is he going to have a podcast? Is he going to be an instructor? Is the MLB going to ask him to instruct and teach? What is going on, right? I mean, what are these things that could happen?
So my one, I think part of the big fix, and I think you could put this in any sport, any professional sport. I think part of the fix with officiating, because there are complaints every year with officiating. I get it. I think you make the head, especially for Major League Baseball, you make the crew chief available to the media after every game. It doesn't have to be for a long time. It could be 5 minutes tops. Make them available after the game. If there's no questions for them, if nobody has any, fine. But if there's a call in a key situation that reporters are like, hey, why did this happen? Why was it not called this way? What did you see? We just want an explanation, because so often that happens where there's a play and the umpires, it's scrutinized after the game. Everybody's got social media. We see every video and it's like, hey, this was wrong. Or why is it that this is happening? What is the rule? Because there's also times where people just plain don't know the rules because they change. Make them available after the game. It doesn't even need to be an umpire. How about just an official, some form of officiator? Make them available after the game to talk to the media so we could get our questions answered, and so that there could be some sort of dialogue. Because it seems like there's just it's so like they're on such a pedestal where it's like we make the call, and I understand
they've unionized,
they've
unionized, so that's like I said, they got some power, but again,
don't you think that might help a little bit? I don't know.
Well, again, that's why with money coming into there's betting, right? FanDuel to all these betting gambling sites. This is why I think this topic of robots, which I don't like, they keep taking human error and human elements out of what we're doing, and in sports we can't, man. I don't think we can. There's a lot of changes I haven't been in favor of, but that's just my opinion. It's just a brand of baseball I wish I could continue because it's familiar to me.
Sure.
What is it, Wayne's World, Garth? We fear change. We fear change.
That's a good.
I'm just familiar with the brand of baseball that I was taught.
Yeah.
I don't know how, when I'm watching it, sometimes, and that's weird why some guys don't able to get coaching jobs after they've played so many years. You have to stay so in tune with the nuances and the new things of the today's game and the brand of baseball as being played. But I do believe that if we're still on the subject of umpires, and bring in robots and that, I mean, now we have these boxes even on TV. So you're going to yell and throw the remote, but that umpire doesn't have that box.
Yes, it's true. It's very true.
So he's looking at it from his lens.
Right.
Look, you and I could disagree upon a lot of things, and you could be right, and I could be right, because it's just our lens of going, I don't know what you've dealt with. So that's why there's things, but I don't like the fact, like I said, the managers that used to be able to come out, argue balls and strikes, kick dirt, Lou Pinella's kicking the dirt over the plate, throwing cases of balls at the bat rack, coming out. Like, that was part of the game. That was part of the human element of the game, to be like, you know what, maybe that umpire stayed out all night. Because those umpires aren't held to, I had to pee. You know how many cups I had to pee in to make sure I wasn't, no, seriously, for steroid testing or enhancement.
Yeah,
but
right.
what about these guys that go out and party and drink, and they show up at 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game or whatever it is?
That's a very interesting point. Yeah.
They've golfed all day. They've had a day at the spa, massage, big league steak before the game. Some guys might have a couple cocktails in them. They don't. Who knows? And I'm not saying players aren't umpires might be the only one that are inebriated out there playing a game, right? We've heard lots of guys that have been inebriated throwing no hitters, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Perfect games.
Yeah.
So. But I'm just saying, if we got to pee in a cup and we're held to a standard, that's what we're talking about. Yeah. I'm going to tie in my point.
I like it.
I've ranted and raved on this Mound Visit. I've had to keep my composure for a long time, bro. I've had to keep it in. I'm not in the batter's box where I could say to the umpire, yo, bro, seriously? While you're checking my hands and if I got any juice under my belt or whatever, right? Thank God we didn't have to do that in our day. It was just trusted.
Uh-huh.
Why are these guys not held to the standard where they have to do a piss test or a breathalyzer test to make sure they've gotten enough sleep? We do it for pilots.
It's a fair point.
We do it for pilots, right? So what's the standard that they do it? That these guys are locked in for big games, that money's on the game, and I mean money even for players, like their stats, their careers, their jobs on the line every day. But apparently, like I said, if we're going to use Angel Hernandez, who was bad for a number of years, mm-hmm. and cost guys walks and this and that and whatever else.
Sure.
Struck out in key situations, whatever the case may be. Why are they not held to a standard?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, and I think that's something that it seems like this was somewhat of a forced retirement, but it took too long. Mm-hmm. And I hate to say that because you're talking about someone's career and their job and their profession, but it's like we've been saying, they didn't seem to be held accountable when they weren't performing that job in a career that's a very highly scrutinized, highly pressurized, and highly regarded profession.
Well, he's an influencer now, man. Good or bad or indifferent.
Yeah,
he's an influencer. Angel Hernandez, like Tommy John, or some of these other things, these names, somehow this name rings true. If you don't know baseball, you definitely know who Angel is, right? I mean, you're sitting there going like, wait, what's this guy? Why is everybody up in arms? Well, now you know. Well, how about this? We didn't talk about this other topic.
Okay.
Which is very interesting. The Negro Leagues.
Oh, that's right.
They're bringing the record books back, changing some things, because we're now... and that's something that happened to me, actually, because a gentleman who does all the... I should go get it. You want to see this?
Yeah, I do.
This will make sense. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go.
So this guy, Nathan Ruckert, right, does all this stuff.
Okay.
Baseball Seams Company.
Oh.
All right. This was my number. I got to put my ear set on. Hang on. This was the number officially, before this all came into play. And like I said, I was a 17,662nd Major League player.
Wow. Okay.
He does a lot of things that are incredible. These are real official
Look at that.
game-used baseballs. He does American flags. He does amazing stuff. But I just thought this was cool. And he did this for my father and I.
Oh, I love that.
Just plugging it. Yeah, so thank you again, Nathan. But with the Negro Leagues, now this number, for me, might be different.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's weird because I'm like, all right, it was official when I got this done.
Yeah.
And then not too long after that, as these things are changing, I'm like, oh my God, so what number player was I?
That's cool. It's an interesting thing to think about. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, we've got essentially with all these new statistics being worked into the record books now. I mean, we've got you could argue a new greatest player of all time, Josh Gibson,
Yep.
372 career hitter.
Right.
Crazy.
Well, I think with the inclusion and the acceptance, I think it's a great thing that it just shows the evolution of the color barrier, going back to Jackie Robinson, breaking through. I mean, we're talking about Paul Skenes, who he's riding a lightning bolt arm, but can you imagine being as talented like him instead of having people giving you death threats and just living out the stuff that was going on in history between, the hatred and all that, and still coming out to be mentally focused and on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's what's interesting is I almost had mixed feelings about this when the news first came down that they were going to officially now start or implement those records into the record books, and I think part of it seemed like a little to me, I don't need Major League Baseball to now say, hey, players in the Negro Leagues were also very good, and in order to tell you that, we're going to put their records into our record books. I think it almost goes back to it's similar to kind of what you were talking about with, it's different from the human element, obviously, but I think that's part of what makes baseball's story its story. You have this entire group of players who were not only good enough to play in the major leagues, but arguably better than most of the players in the major leagues, and they weren't allowed to play in there. And I think that, I think part of that is what makes that story so incredible, because you have, like I said, this entire group of players who could have, like we're seeing now, literally rewritten the history books of Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And I almost don't need. But
that's part of the story. That's
right.
That's
sure.
the story. And I went to in Kansas City. They have the Negro League Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I took
that's on my
time
bucket
to
list. I gotta get there,
dude. It's awesome. It's I've played with so many great guys that of color that I adored and loved, and they're my brothers too, man. But it's amazing, like I said, the history and what came about. And you hear even Reggie Jackson's documentary, just how he's dealt with racism and how some of his good players and teammates, they would get food and protect them. Because you're sitting there going like, man, I play with this guy, I eat with this guy, I shower with this guy. The same thing. It's like they're your family. And it's funny because in the clubhouse, the gloves come off, and you better have your thick skin on, because it doesn't matter where you're from or your religion, your ethnicity. When guys, like I said, I'm going to go always back to, and it ties into guys that love and respect each other and play this game, and you can joke around and not make it so personal where you're laughing with it instead of laughing at.
Sure.
It makes for an unbelievable gelling and team chemistry that propels things to a whole different level of, you're like, wow, man, we can do anything. And together, bringing Asia, bringing Latin America, bringing guys from California, guys from New York, guys from Texas, you're like, holy shit, we got the whole shebang here.
Yeah.
This is a reality TV show, like I told you. And let the camera keep rolling. And it's rolling. And we're in month 2. May 30th. June's coming, baby. And we're just getting started.
I love it. And I think just to clarify what I was saying earlier, because I don't know if I worded it well, but I think what I was trying to say is the Negro Leagues themselves and the players in the Negro Leagues thriving at that time, despite Major League Baseball sort of actively keeping them out, essentially, I think is such an integral part of their greatness. And I think to almost the way I saw it was like to waltz in 80 years later and just be like, hey, they were major leaguers all along. To me, it felt almost demeaning, where it was like, I thought like the fact that players like Josh Gibson didn't play in Major League Baseball is what made the Negro League so important to the history of the game.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that out there. Obviously, I love that I like that they are doing this, because I think for fans who might not know about it.
It's the history of the game, man.
It's more history, exactly.
It's more history, and there were great players that could have been Hall of Famers and all things, if all things being equal, what they are today.
Exactly.
And we don't have enough black players in the game.
Still, exactly.
We still, and it's because it's a whole. You wanted to end this early, but it costs $3-4 grand just to register your kid.
Yeah.
Before you even go buy a $400 or $500 bat.
Yeah.
At Dick's Sporting Goods, another bank you gotta have. One of my banks is now the shit I used to get for free. The shit I used to get for free. That's the contract we miss, is the shoe deals.
That's right.
And all the glove deals. And now you're sitting there going like, man, my kid needs a new glove, and my kid needs another pair of shoes. And I used to have that New Balance deal and that Rawlings contract. And I used to be able to just tell the guy, hey, you hook me up, my kid needs a glove. Yeah, no problem. So yeah, man, it changes. It changes,
Yeah.
But that's why these kids in inner cities, they don't come from that. They don't have that readily available to them.
Right.
Unless somebody can sponsor them. I mean, shit, even when I played, I think playing Babe Ruth, it was like $150, $200 maybe to play for a summer ball team.
Yep.
Now I'm paying $3-4 grand, and then, now we're paying for a road trip. They sit there and go, hey, break that down per at bat. Why do you have to go to Columbus, Ohio for the weekend, spend $2 grand so my kids we're spending $250 on that bat? You break it down, you're like, well, we could have a game right here. There's 10, 20 fields right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going on? So yeah, no, I'm glad they're recognizing it. It's always a good mound visit when we keep it all under.
Everything comes full circle.
Roof,
I feel like it may seem like the Bull Durham clip where it's going every which way, but we always bring it back.
We brought it back, and we hope to bring you back.
That's right.
So come back, subscribe to it, man. I mean, it's just to press a button. You got to press one button.
Yeah, and you can press a couple others. You get those notifications. You like the video, leave us a comment if you feel like it, but do it for free. It's free. Takes a second. Subscribe to the channel.
We got to get Grandma on too. We got to get her opinion. And if she doesn't, boy, I tell you what, she's gonna let you know why you haven't subscribed yet.
That's right.
Listen, Case, it's always good, man. Thank you for the time.
Hey.
And if you tuned in, thank you for your time.
That's right.
We hope to see you next time right here on Mound Visit.